Hi everyone, my name's Jen, I'm an author and a book reviewer, and I thought I would give you an extra video today. Excuse the croaky throat, this is what I got for Christmas. I hope that you're all doing well and that you had a lovely Christmas if you celebrate, and that you're eating lots of lovely food. So I'm going to try to film this in as few takes as possible because of said throat, but also because, as usual, I'm trying to film this during baby's nap time. But I hadn't anticipated that I would need to film this, but then I went a little bit rogue and bought a few books. So I thought we would talk about them. It's the end of the year, so this is an end of year haul. This is my favourite time of year for content online, and I don't have as much time to create or watch as usual, but I'm really excited to see what people are uploading. I have several things planned. I want to do an end of year wrap up video. I obviously want to talk about my favourite books of the year. I want to talk about my most anticipated books for 2025, and then I also have in the works a new book to film adaptation video, and also want to film, as you will see by some of the books that I bought, a vlog where I read some other people's favourite books of the year. Obviously those videos mostly aren't up yet, but I did buy several from the recommendations of two people whose favourites is up right now. So shall we dive into the books? Let me just reach behind. Before actually I get into books, there were two non-bookish things that I purchased. I bought this, which is a zine by Holly Exley. If you don't follow Holly, I really recommend that you do. She is wonderful. She is an illustrator. She's currently doing van life, so living in a van with her partner and her two dogs and traveling around, and she just uploads wonderful videos. I support her over on Patreon, where she's been doing Vlogmas, and I think she's maybe doing Vanuary, so uploading a video every day or quite frequently in January talking about van life. So if that appeals to you, I really recommend. But she made this zine recently about two Scottish summers that they have had two summers that they have spent in Scotland, and it's just really beautiful. I don't want to show too much of it actually, because spoilers, but I just think this is gorgeous. So if you're looking for an artist to support, I recommend her. And then also I decided to purchase this, which is a new magazine. It's called Shelf Picture Book Matters. So this is all about picture books, and it has a huge section reviewing picture books at the back, like so many. I've never seen this many picture books reviewed in one like physical journal, which is amazing. So if you are in the market for picture books, if you want to learn more about them, the process of creating them, etc., then support this. I will link it in the description box down below. All right then, to get on to the book. So we do have a gift here. This is one I requested. My gran asked what I would like for Christmas, and I requested this book. And this actually is, I assume, a favourite book of the year for Lauren from Lauren at the Books, because she's been talking about it a lot. And this is A Thousand Feasts by Nigel Slater. I don't think I've ever read any of Nigel's books. Have I? Maybe I read Toast ages ago. I have met him. I interviewed him when I was filming a video for the British Book Awards, and he's a lovely chap. And I really enjoyed watching the TV adaptation of Toast, which was his memoir, and is beautiful. Anyway, he loves food. This is a memoir all about food, and it's told in really like fragmented bits, little vignettes where he's remembering specific moments, and it just seems gorgeous. This one is signed. I did not know that. I just noticed that right now. So it begins: I drift in and out of sleep in the back seat, slow deep breaths in and out like the tide. I am woken by the crack of a twig hitting the windscreen, and the driver snaps at me to close my window. In a heartbeat, the roof of the car is being pounded by raindrops the size of cherries. The windscreen wipers splash hysterically. Swish-stock, swish-stock. The ancient coconut palms, once so wise and calm, are now swaying back and forth, their leaves flapping like elephant ears. So this is a memory from Goa, and it's called Mangoes in a Monsoon. I just think this is going to be really evocative and lovely, and probably make me really hungry. Then I did Vlogmas over on Patreon this year, and that's still live if you would like to go. It is £2 or $2 for the whole month, and I uploaded a video every day from the 1st of December to the 24th of December, really casually just answering questions and chatting with you. So if you're looking for some content to curl up with at this time of year, in this, we call it in betweenmas, I know people get quite angry about those words because it's a bit, is it a bit much? I don't know. Anyway, this period of time, or non-time between Christmas and New Year, if you would like more content, you can head over to Patreon to find that. But in one of those videos, I decided to go through a wish list of books that I had made forever ago and had forgotten about it, and it was online, and I rediscovered some books that I had thought sounded really interesting. How many did I end up purchasing? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 right now, and I may purchase more in the future, and I think I would like to do a reading vlog where I read some of those at some point. But anyway, this one, I mean, they all sound cool, that's why I purchased them, but this one was one I was reminded of, which is Disappear, Doppelganger, Disappear. This is by Matthew Salises, and it says, Matt Kim is always tired. He keeps passing out. His cat is dead. His wife and daughter have left him. He's estranged from his adoptive family. People bump into him on the street as if he isn't there. He is pretty sure he's disappearing. His girlfriend Yumi is less convinced, but then she runs into someone who looks exactly like her, and her doppelganger turns out to have dated someone who looks exactly like Matt, except the other Matt was superior in every way. He was clever, successful, generous, and beloved until one day he suddenly and completely vanished without warning. How can Matt Kim protect his existence when a better version of him wasn't even able to? Or is his worst life a reason for his survival? I just think that this one sounds really, really intriguing. Then this has been on my wish list for a while, but this was in a sale, as was another book that I purchased. Let me just grab that one. These ones, for some reason, these ones were always really, really expensive. I don't know if they're imports, they might be. So this is Hye-young Pyun. This is The Owl Cries, translated from the Korean by Sora Kim Russell. This one arrived a little bit battered, but that's okay. It says, a disappearance, a missing brother, a lawyer asking questions, and a vast forest in the mountains, the western woods, where the trees huddle close together, emanating a crushing darkness, and a chill dampness fills the air. The ranger, Insu Park, who lives nearby with his family, is a recovering alcoholic. He claims no knowledge of the man who disappeared, even though the missing man had worked as the ranger just before him. In the little village down the mountain, the shopkeepers will do the same and deny they ever saw or knew the man, though they're less convincing. His former supervisor at the Forestry Research Centre dismisses his importance, but when an accident and a death derail the investigation and someone attempts to break into his office, Insu Park finds himself conducting his own inquiry into the goings-on deep in the heart of the western woods. It sounds like a bit of a literary thriller, a little bit eerie. I'm getting... what's the Atesha Moshfegh book called? Death in Her Hands. I don't know why I'm getting that from this, but I am. And the other one that was in a sale that I picked up is this one here, which is Lu Min's Dinner for Six. This is translated by Nikki Harman and Helen Wang. Now, I love, as you know, if you've been here a while, I love books set around dinner parties and food. And this is all about a family coming together, I think multiple times, to have meals together, and you learn about their lives, and that is definitely my catnip. The reason I hadn't bought this before is the blurb sounded a little bit, I don't know, I wasn't sure of the tone of it. So it says, can widowed accountant Sue Chin ever publicly acknowledge her socially mismatched relationship with a laid-off manual worker? Can she bear to see her ambitious and studious daughter form a romantic connection with his son? Can her obese son create the perfect family he craves? Will Ding Dong's silly married daughter ever get pregnant? I don't know. The tone seems really flippant and harsh, and that may be because the blurb is written in the style of the narrator, in which case that's absolutely fine, but I wasn't sure. And as I said, this was really expensive because it was an import, but it was on sale for £4, and I thought for £4 I will give that a go. Thank you very much. Then other ones that were on my list, these two at the bottom. So we have Body Kintsugi by Senka Marić, and this is translated by Celia Hawksworth. And I was firstly intrigued because kintsugi is something that intrigues me, which is a Japanese tradition of repairing broken pottery using gold. So you can see all of the crack lines and celebrate that, both the imperfections and the repair itself. But this is about a woman whose husband packed his bags and leaves his family, and then she discovers that she has breast cancer. So she's rebuilding her life and also talking about her body. And I don't know, I just thought that that sounded really intriguing. And then this, I didn't realize existed and was very excited. So I love Strange Beasts of China by Yang Yi, which is translated from the Chinese by Jeremy Tiang. I've really enjoyed reading her short story collection Elsewhere this year, which is her first English language, well, it's her English language debut. It's a collection of short stories. And she's also written a novel in English, which I think is called Hotel Destination, which isn't out yet. It might come out in 2025, but I didn't realize there were backlist titles from her. And this is one of them, which is The Chili Bean Paste Clan, which is translated from the Chinese by Nikki Harmon. It says, set in a fictional town in West China, this is the story of a family who own a lucrative chili bean paste factory and their formidable matriarch. As Gran's 80th birthday approaches, her middle-aged children get together to make preparations. Family secrets are revealed and long-time sibling rivalries flare up with renewed vigor. I love a bit of a family saga. I love a reason for families to come together and bicker and have secrets be revealed. That just sounds really, really cool. And I love her writing. So I was so thrilled to find out that she had backlist titles. And I felt very silly that I hadn't looked into that before. Another one that was on my list was Matrescence by Lucy Jones, which is on the metamorphosis of pregnancy, childbirth and motherhood, a non-fiction book. I feel like the subtitle kind of says it all, but I've heard brilliant things about that one. And I also purchased this, which is the script of Journey's End by RC Sherriff, who is the author of the Hopkins manuscript, Green Gates, and The Fortnight in September. I hadn't actually looked at the page count when I purchased this. It is tiny, this little play, but I'm interested to read it regardless. I really love his writing, and then there are a couple of other novels of his that I haven't got to yet, and I will be talking about him more in my favourite books of the year as a small spoiler for you. I requested this from the publisher. This is the Axeman's Carnival by Catherine Chidgey. I read her book Pet very early on this year, absolutely adored that book so much, so I'm really excited to read more of hers. I think she has quite a few novels that I can get to. So this is, I think, about a woman who rescues a magpie and talks to the magpie, and maybe the magpie talks back. If this wasn't by Catherine Chidgey, I would not have purchased it, because that sounds really twee to me and just not my cup of tea at all. But given Pet, I don't think this is going to be twee, and I think probably it will do really interesting and exciting things. So I'm sure I'll be reading this in the not too distant future. Then I was sent this unsolicited, but it sounds really great, and it's got a quote on the front by Naomi Booth, whose book Sealed I read last year and still think about it because it absolutely traumatized me. So this is I Hope You're Happy by Marni Appleton. This is a collection of short stories. It says, photos of women eating go viral. A cookie communicates a threat, and women working dead-end jobs become entangled in the performances around them. Everyday experiences of friendship, family, dating and desire catapult the reader into a creepy vortex of horror. Characters reveal themselves in slippery glimpses through positive affirmations, social media accounts and secret appetites. This is a collection of haunting and haunted stories. That blurb just, I mean, yes please. If I knew that this existed, I would have requested a review copy. So I'm glad that telepathically a publisher knew that I would like this. This is I Hope You're Happy by Marni Appleton. Right, and then I bought 4 books. Oh, that's going to fall. I bought 4 books that were on the best books of the year list by the lovely Alice Slater and Bethany Rutter, who run the podcast What Page Are You On Pod? I don't need to say pod if I say podcast, do I? The podcast, What Page Are You On? There you go, the What Page Pod. And they uploaded their favourite books of the year last week, I think. And I was listening to it, and they all sounded brilliant, and I decided to purchase 4 of them. And maybe I will do a reading vlog where I read these 4. Who knows, but I blame those fabulous ladies for this. And if you're not subscribed to their podcast, go subscribe to them. They're both authors too. They're both wonderful. So they recommended Caroline Blackwood's The Fate of Mary Rose. They said that this was like Celia Dale by way of Shirley Jackson. Did they? No. No, Celia Dale by way of Patricia Highsmith is what they said. But I imagine if they're saying both of those things, then Shirley Jackson would also be an apt comparison. So this is about a child who's been abducted from a sleepy Kent village. Her face is plastered across the media, and as the crime unleashes a wave of hysteria, the claustrophobic world of Rowan Anderson and his inscrutable wife begins to disintegrate. This is a modern classic, so it's been reissued. When was it first published? It was first published in 1981, and this has a new introduction by Camilla Gradova, who has written many books, one of which was Children of Paradise, which was my favourite from the Women's Prize long list 2 years ago. Really loved that one, so I'm excited about that. I also purchased The Coin by Yasmin Zaher, which is about a Palestinian woman in New York whose life is unravelling. I don't want to know more than that. I also bought Clean by Alia, Trabucco, Zerán, and this is translated from the Spanish by Sophie Hughes. This, they said, reminded them of Lullaby by Leila Slimani. The premise is really similar. I think it's from the point of view of a nanny or maybe a cleaner who worked in a house where a child has died. She is locked up in a room and she's talking to you about what happened. And then they sung the praises of this, which is All Fours by Miranda July. Who had read this one? I can't remember. It was one of them or both of them. Maybe both, actually. So I don't think I've ever read Miranda July. I've always been tempted, but this one just sounded brilliant the way they sold it. So it's about a woman who has to go on a work trip. So she leaves her family and drives off, and she only gets, I think, about half an hour down the road and then decides she's not going to go on her work trip, and she pulls into a motel instead and stays there for a couple of weeks, and it's about what she gets up to when she's in this motel. So the theme of these books, I think, is women unraveling. But as they talked about in the podcast, there are so many books that have fallen into that genre in recent years, which is brilliant, but also means that there's also a lot of watered down versions of really good stories that are using that particular trope. And they were talking about ones that they particularly loved. I know that they are fans, for instance, of Maud Ventura, etc., whose novel The Husband I did really enjoy as well, like Virginia Fito, that kind of thing. So I really trust their recommendations, and I really hope that I'm going to fall in love with these 4 books as well. So those are the books that I wanted to chat with you about. I would love to know if you've read any of these, which ones you would particularly be interested in hearing my opinions on. If you haven't read them, let me know in a comment down below. Thank you so much for your support this year. I know that I haven't uploaded as much as in previous years because baby, but I've enjoyed uploading what I could when I could, and I look forward to doing all my end of year wrap-ups and 2025 stuff videos going forward. I hope you're all doing well. I'm going to take my sore throat off and have some honey and lemon and ginger, and I will speak to you very soon. I'm sending lots of love. Yes, goodbye. Bye.